really go, right? You guys can hear me? Can you hear Sanjeev?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for making it here at 4:30 p.m. Seriously, guys, it's going to be a very interesting presentation, I think, for many of you. My name is Kevin Ashley.
And I'm Sanjeev. We are game evangelists at Microsoft. We help indie developers and big publishers all alike to move their games over to Windows platform. And that's what we're here for.
Yep.
So first thing, we are today announcing plugins for Windows and Azure for Unity. So this is something that we have been working on for last, at least I would say, 2 to 3 months. The number one thing that game developers, the problem that they face when they are porting a game over to Windows platform, or I should say any new platform, is like platform-specific integration. Your game runs great, now what? So we have taken most of the friction points out. At this point of time, there is no free alternative for you to get a free plugin that helps you integrate with Windows and Windows Phone. So we have wrapped all the in-app purchases. We have integrated all the live tile and stuff, like essentially stuff that surfaces your app up on the platform, advertisements, Azure, and we understand Facebook is a one big deal, so we are actually wrapping that too. The good thing, every single line of code is open source. It's on GitHub, it's MIT licensed. So not just like generic license, MIT license, you can do what you want with it completely. Finally, there's a build script there. You don't have to integrate source. You run the build script, it generates Unity packages for you. So you can literally just drag and drop in your project and you're done.
So essentially, we want you guys to feel like this presentation is called 10 by 10, 10 things about Windows 10, right? So we want you guys to feel like kids in the candy store. So each of these 10 things is like a candy. So we're giving you candies today. And the plugins are actually candies. Everything we give to you is candies. So it's all free stuff. It's all good stuff. It's all open source, which is great for Microsoft, right? Great for you. So think of plugins as you can build everything with Unity 5.2. You don't really need the plugins. But think of them as just something to help you maybe transition into Windows. We try to make everything in the plugins, anything that requires 2 lines of code for you to write, we try to make them into one-liners, essentially. So it's a productivity enhancement for you, right?
All right, so the number one thing that you want to do after you have built your game is, like, how do I get my game in front of people? So the 2 biggest problems are discovery and engagement. Like, you can have your game, you somehow got someone to download, they download it now after they have played for a while and then forgot about it. How do you bring them back? So there are a couple of ways that Windows 10 actually tries to solve this problem for you. The first is we brought back the start button. For many other reasons, but we brought it back, right? So now everyone is clicking the start button every single day, probably many, many, many times, right? So right there, we have a search bar. You try to find an app, you can just type whatever you want. Let's say I want to search for Frozen. And like the Windows Store determines that this person is actually looking for a game, and they will immediately pop up a few suggestions. So there's a spotlight right there in the start button, and it will show search results from the store as well. So imagine, like, many times a day, someone is clicking the start button, and they have an opportunity to see your game. Your game can surface up there. That's the number one thing. Second, on Windows Store, Windows Phone 2, we don't have static app icons. We have what is called as a live tile. So the entire icon is actually a canvas for you. You can do what you want there. And the store icon actually cycles through the featured apps, many apps that we think are worth bringing the attention of the user to, right? So if you see in the corner, it's kind of hard to see, I guess. Right over there, there is the bottom right corner. The store tile actually has a game, okay? So you can, you see, essentially, we flip through this many, many times a day, many different kind of things. So that's one more way of surfacing. Finally, let's say your app itself can have a live tile, so you can surface more information there. And final thing is, like, if the person really loves your game and they want a lot of engagement, then right up on the lock screen, you can give space to them. So like here in the corner, you say, like what you see. That's where the Bing app is actually surfacing information. So people can come back to your app. And so let's start talking about the monetization, right? Monetization is the number one thing after that. So there are many ways of making money on any store. And one of the biggest and easiest ways of making money is like download to own. You just want to charge people upfront. Like, I want money upfront. I don't care about in-app purchases and so on, right? So for that, usually you create either a light version of your app, and you hope that people will find the other version of your app and download it, or you go and put in a trial. we have made it super easy on the Windows Store to have a trial. There is 0 lines of code involved. You upload your package. You're ready to submit it. You go down. There's a drop-down. You say, I want 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, up to 30-day trial. No lines of code required. And once the trial period has expired, you actually go. The person double-clicks the icon. You actually go to this page which says this app can't open. You have to purchase it. It takes you back to your apps page, not on the generic store page. The other cool thing where it says trial never expires, you put your app in that option. Your app query says, am I in trial? Yes, you are in trial. Am I in trial? Yes, I'm in trial. So you can be pretty much in trial permanently, which is essentially your light mode. Right? At some point of time, if the user actually purchases something, and then you can say, am I in trial? And this will return, no, you are not in trial anymore. And that's a flawless conversion. No 2 different versions. No light version and full version, just 1 version, and you're golden.
So to Sanjeev's point, we found actually that the number of downloads increases by a factor of 7 if you use trial mode versus just paper download, which I think is great.
Yep. So very quickly, I'm going to show you like how we integrated the in-app purchases in Unity plugins using our Unity plugins. So we have like there's a button and there's a dev-made UI. We are not like awesome game devs as you are. So we click this thing here, and if the internet was connected, it should, OK, and internet is not connected. Never mind. There you go. Sorry, it took a second to come. So you do this, and the plugin makes it easy. Yes, that's a big deal. But there is one other cool thing called App Simulator. So this is not present in any of the other stores that I know of. We allow you to completely simulate your purchases. You can put everything that you want in one single XML file, and you load it up in your app. And then you say, I want to load up that XML file, load it up, and then you say, request product purchase. And this time around, instead of going to the production server, we serve you directly saying from the local system saying, oh, yeah, this is what you wanted to do according to your file.
So Sanjeev, the XML is basically what it's sort of like a script for testing your in-app purchase, right?
Exactly. So you can actually not only test everything, you can say, OK, what happens if this thing actually fails? You can select an option saying, my thing failed because of any other reason, and you can test it. It's a great way to not only test all this, it's also a great way to unit test it, to automate your tests, and so on and so forth. So here, if you just say OK and continue on, the app is purchased, and you're golden here again. So going back here, and that's the code. We'll go over it in a little while. You
see, guys, it's only 1 line. So everything in the plugins is a one-liner, basically. Very easy to use, really.
Yep.
All right, so the second way to really monetize your app, you have trials, paper download, right? You have the in-app purchase that Sanjeev just mentioned. And probably the third way, if you get in a large number of downloads, would be advertising. So advertising has been greatly, greatly expanded for Windows, Windows 10, actually. We now added the feature called ad mediation. So what the ad mediation does, and it's part of the SDK now, you guys can choose any provider. Well, there is a number of providers, basically, that you can choose from, right? And the most important thing about ad mediation is once you start using it, you can actually, without changing the app, you can change what percentage of ads are being served from every provider right from the store. So there is literally like a slider in the store where you can say that, let's say, Microsoft advertising gets 80% of my ads, and 20% of my ads are being served by Smarto, for example, or other providers, or Mobile, for example. So all of these things are available.
And you talked about the fill rate, right? The amazing thing about the fill rate, yes.
Exactly. So the fill rate is another important factor, and that's why we also have the video interstitial ads now. Now let me show you an example of how this works. So I have this Unity app here. And this is actually a live ad coming from Microsoft. So basically, it plays, 30 to 60 seconds, I think, and then it finishes, and you're done. That's it, right? So very easy to use from your Unity game. This is just a Unity GUI. Now, just to remind you guys, all of these examples that Sanjeev and I are providing are available from GitHub, from Unity plugins repo, and we'll show you what the repo is.
Yep. And with if you use actually the ad mediation, you get a near 100% fill rate. So that is actually amazing.
So one more point I wanted to make about this. Again, it's all one-liners for you guys if you use Microsoft.Unity plugins, advertising in it. Of course, you can use Unity 5.2 just natively, no problem with that. Just provide your app ID, add unit ID, and you can start showing the ads.
Yep. Okay, so the other thing, I just very quickly, briefly touched on the live tiles. So in keeping, in keeping with the tradition of one-liners, again, everything is literally one-liner. If you try to do a live tile, it's a little bit more complex if you try to do it manually. We have provided this tiles.update tile. So tiles come in many templates. You can say, I want a lot of text on my tile. I want an image and text. So there are like many ways of representing this thing. So here, all you do is supply the tile type, and then you say, so many strings on my tile, so many images on my tile. Here, I'm just going to show you one simple tile with one image. And then I'm going to show you badge, which is what is present on other stores, like a little counter that comes up, right? So here is my app, let's say. There you go. And crossing my fingers.
Great design, Sanjeev.
Amazing. So go over here, and here, it switches over to this cool dude here, which is like your live tile there, right? We go over here and say show badge, and then we go back to our start menu here, and it shows up a little number there, right? So these are this is some way to surface more information, like this, like being able to show an image on your live tile. This is something that is unique to our platform. And again, one-liners here. There you go. Roaming settings. This is actually super cool. So every app that you upload in the store has the ability to get a little bit of storage in the cloud, courtesy Microsoft. And this way, what happens is like if you can actually, you put your data in a specific place in the OS, and the OS synchronizes it for you across all devices. This works across Windows and Windows Phone, like doesn't matter. So think of a scenario. Let's say you are playing this Sudoku going game or some strategy game or whatever, and you're halfway through and you are sitting in the office and no one is watching, so you were playing it, and you put the computer down and you go back out, right? And you are sitting in the subway and you pick up your phone and wow, I mean, you are exactly where you left off. What an amazing experience that would be. So Microsoft offers this thing. You have relatively small amount of data here, but it's available to you. Usually use it for user profile, for settings, for small game state, freely available.
So Sanjeev, basically, this is really like a free cloud, given a free cloud to developers,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
If you guys want a more extensive set of data to be saved and persisted, of course, you can use Azure and cloud and do all that.
Exactly. Okay. So this is the other way, like re-engaging, remember we talked about. So we have local notifications, like now Windows 10 is a windowed environment. You don't have apps taking the entire full screen. So there are windows and windows and windows, and let's say a user was engaging, very engaged with your game, and suddenly you are, let's say, something like Farmville, and your goat needs to wait for like 10 minutes before it can give milk, right? So, and your goat is ready. So you want to send a notification saying yes locally without using the cloud, saying yes, now I have something ready for you. So you can do that. And let me just show that here. Like I hit here, at 1 second, and there you go. And a toast pops up. This can be in the background and it can still show up. And previously, if you showed a toast and the user didn't take an action on it, the toast would just go away, and the user would have no idea what happened. In Windows 10, we have introduced this new feature called the Notification Center, and the Notification Center is right over there. And you can see it's actually the notification came over here, and you can also see I tested this demo like 3 times out, so there are 3 of these toasting to go live. And there you go. So that's something to keep in mind. You can keep people engaged by using local toast notifications. And go back to the slide. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, and sharing. This is another super cool thing with Windows. So usually, like, when you want to share, let's say you want to share some data from one app to another. Windows 10 has this amazing experience for you. Usually, like, the experience that you have seen is one app decides which app to share with, right? So you have to go and upfront code up saying, my app supports these, and these apps. What happens if suddenly a uber new cool app comes out? So in sharing, Microsoft, the way we have done it is you supply, you code against a contract. You say, I can supply data of such and such kind. I can supply text data. I can supply image data. I can supply files. I can supply HTML. And other side, someone codes against the contract and says, I can accept these kind of data. And when the user goes to your app and says, share something, the OS says, OK, here are the 20 apps that can accept share. And depending on the user preferences, some things bubble up to the top, right? And after that, the user can share it with whichever way. That way, you are completely insulated from any new thing that comes up. And again, usually it's a slightly more complex to set up. Here it's like one line. You set up a few properties and say, show the share UI. and that thing works. So this is how the sharing experience works. I have, like, we all like goats, don't we, right? So let's say your app is super goaty, and it ends up showing, a picture of a goat there, right? That's what you want to share. So you just have one button, you click it, and you have this picture of a goat getting shared across your app, like, with your app name saying, wow, this app shares goats. Awesome. Okay, so that's about sharing.
Just something to think about. So as you guys can see, we wrapped all these bits and pieces of functionality into the plugins to simplify your development to make you guys more productive. Cortana is part of Windows. I mean, this is part of core Windows, in fact, and it's integrated into Windows 10 PC, into any Windows 10 mobile device. So, of course, we wanted to make Cortana available to you. And Cortana is just so many things, really. I mean, you can use Cortana as a personal assistant. You can use Cortana as an artificial intelligence engine within your PC. And it's just so many things. You can extend it. You can make your games really, really engaging and interesting by using Cortana. So we just make it very simple for you guys. And part of what Cortana, I just made a small example of using Cortana. This is a simple Unity project, right? And you guys can, by the way, download it from that GitHub repo as well. So it's all available for you, including the graphics and everything. So as you can see, I mean, you are the Unity professionals, right? So this is just a mechanism system. So the idea is to control Cortana with mechanism, essentially, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch this app. This is my Unity. And by the way, notice that Windows bar, this is new to Windows 10, and basically you can record any of the apps that you consider games and save the recording. So I want my mechanism to react to my speech, basically, and that's what I'm using Cortana for. You can use it for anything else, right? And when I say dance, I want my mechanism to start dancing, right? And when I tell it stop, then it stops. When I tell it walk, then it starts walking. So this is just a very simple example. In fact, you guys can go, and if you want to extend Cortana to unimaginable heights, you can go to projectoxford.ai, which is sort of a set of APIs that go even beyond what Cortana is within the desktop, and actually check what they can do. There are amazing things that you can do with this. Now to Project Oxford, yeah, .ai. So let's talk about Unity, Microsoft Unity plugins. Again, you don't have to use them, so this is something that which is created for you to give you a little productivity tool, essentially a set of open source code snippets that you guys can use, nicely wrapped into Unity plugins. Unity 5.2 has everything you need to build Windows 10 apps. Feel free to improve on the code. It's open source. Unity, in the keynotes, if you guys noticed that, they put a lot of attention to threading. So we actually made this super simple from the plugin perspective. So all the threading issues are taken care of within the plugins.
Exactly. We have more plugins, actually, than what we showcased. We also have a cloud backend for your app, a really straightforward cloud backend. This is called Azure Mobile Services. People love it. It has Facebook authentication built in for iOS, Android, and, of course, Windows and Windows Phone. It allows you to have CRUD operations written in JavaScript or .NET really super easy. We have Facebook login. So Azure Mobile Services-based plugin is already available today. Facebook login is something that's coming, or I should say Facebook Upfront is coming within a short period, I would say within a couple of weeks. And we are actually listening to feedback. If you use the plugin and you hit an issue, just go and log a bug, and literally it's Kevin and I sitting and coding this thing, so we do listen to it. Okay. So here's one very quick tip on the coding pattern for the plugins. Most of it is a one-liner, and the way we have coded is every single API that requires a callback, that wants to call your code back when it's done, returns back a data type that has 3 elements: a status, which says success or failure, whether the API succeeded or failed, and if it succeeded, a result object, which has the result wrapped in, and if it failed, an exception object saying this is why your call actually failed. your API call failed. Across every single API that we have, the exact same pattern. Pass in and get back this result. Go ahead. So we are here preaching to you. We really, Windows Store is quite filled. There are a lot of partners that have come and found success over time. But we are here to help the indie developer. We really do want your game up there. So come and talk to us after the talk, or come over at room 305 and talk to us. We'd be happy to help you through.
In fact, Sanjeev and I are part of this team that can really help game developers. So if you guys have games that are cool that you think would be a great addition to Windows Store, and I think all of your games are actually cool. So just come talk to us. We'll be in the porting lab. Now, after about 10 minutes, when you exit this room, you'll receive an email notification that says, please fill in the survey, right? So please do that. It's it's a very friendly, responsive mobile thing with a couple of checkboxes. Please do that. To port your game and get a win a phone, and I think we have some other things, right?
Yep. So I mean, this is a really great opportunity if you have been on the fence. Take an hour or two, come over. We have had amazing experience this time around. First of all, if you come, you get a game ported where it's like, it runs and we can see that things are working, even if it's not working perfectly. You walk away with a Nokia Lumia 925, which is an amazing device. So that is a testing device. It's unlocked, so you can use it wherever you want. That's the first thing. If your game has uber high quality and we decide that it is awesome, then at the end of the day, you can win a Surface Pro and as well as a Unity Pro license. So that is something. And we are there to help anyways, so like even if you hit an issue, someone is there to help. So that's a really good deal. Finally, we thank you for being here. We know you have many other sessions to choose from. We know your time is valuable. You paid for it, you came here. So thank you for being here. We appreciate your time.
Yes. If you guys have any questions, the mic is here. I think it should be working. So please come to the mic and we'll be happy to answer. Anything about Windows? Now this is the time. Do you have to be online for all these Unity plugin stuff for Cortana? Recognition online? Question, do you have to be online with all these Unity plugins to work? So first of all, let me show you the repo. The repo is right here on GitHub, right? Now, for the plugins to work, we split the plugins into several components. So some of them are actually part of the core Windows, so they do not require to be online. For Cortana to actually process your speech, to do a continuous speech recognition, you'd better be online, because then it does everything in the cloud, and there's a lot of cloud processing that's happening. So if I can maybe rephrase the question is, are there any tutorials online about how to integrate a lot of these features of GitHub with our project?
Yep, I mean, there is a README file there, as well as like if you actually go scroll down here, there it goes. And not only that, if you click this thing, then the README takes you to the website where we provide all the samples and help and so on and so forth. Also, if you hit any issues, basically feel free to log a bug, and we usually get back to you really fast. Yep.
Also, what time is the event to decide the Surface Pro and so forth?
That I think is the end of the day, probably 6 or so. I'm not 100% sure. You can stop by and we can tell you. I think it's around 6 or so. I'm not 100% certain.
For the ad mediation, what is the integration? Do you guys have some integration with the Unity advertisement network?
So we actually talking to these guys. As a matter of fact, we stopped by the Unity guys. I think that they're using multiple advertisers, and I hope that we'll have some integration coming out of this. I can't speak for Unity, but hopefully as they deliver the ad the ads integration into Unity, then at that point we can talk about that and see how it integrates with Microsoft advertisement, definitely. But I think as a game developer, you definitely want to take advantage of as many advertising sources and sources of revenue for games as possible without, of course, crashing your game, right? So it has to be just something that works. Unity does an amazing job at integrating everything, and we hope to get our integration as close to Unity as possible. We're working with these guys all the time.
Can you use your ad mediation for different platforms, or is only Windows?
So ad mediation right now is part of Microsoft advertising, so it's part of naturally Windows essentially. So it is only us, but we just bring in revenue from multiple advertising networks through that.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.